Hello, my name is Mijanur Rahman, and this is my fourth video on financial planning. Um, and please feel free to read my book, Financial Freedom: Fiction or Financial Plan. Now, in this video, I'm going to talk about. Let's assume that you met right person, right financial planner, the right guy, and you have everything in place. So let's get it started. So, introduction. So, what can you expect at the first introduction from your financial planner? What is it you were looking for? And there are some indications that you should be looking for during the meeting process. Is that the number one is that the what is his intention? Is he trying to sell you something, or is he really interested in improving your current scenario? So usually give yourself about 45 minutes to an hour time to conduct the meeting with your financial planner. And if you are the financial planner, give yourself roughly about half an hour to, well, in this case 45 minutes to hour and a half or so both. So what do you need to be sure before you get to the meeting? Let's assume I'm going to talk to you in the prospect of the as a financial planner, rather talking as talking to a client. So let's assume that you have met your client, and what you need to have is that you need to have of course, some ideas about your client before you get to the meeting. So what I usually used to do is that before my first meeting, I used to have them fax me or probably email me or mail me some sort of document at my office, some sort of their financial history, perhaps a T1, perhaps a T2 if it is a business client. A T1 is actually applicable to someone who is a regular personnel, who is not, who is not a corporation. So everybody will have a T1, whether it's a self-employed or an employee. So you're going to have to take a look at the T1. Now, often you would find that people are not so easy when it comes to giving you a T1 from their accountant, and often people really don't know what is this tax preparation T1 is that is submitted to the CRA. What is it? Often they have no clue. What is it? Now, it's a knowledge. In my first video, I mentioned that in Canada, in spite of being in the first world, we have literacy issue on financial planning or financial knowledge. It's sad, but it is actually an ugly truth. So what's happening is that what you need to expect, what you as a client, what would you expect? You would probably, number one is you would be expecting from your financial advisor or planner in this case, or investment advisor, is that they have a solid intention to improve your current scenario. Now, as a financial planner, what you need to understand is that they are actually looking up to you for advice. They're actually understanding, they're putting their information or giving the information to you, putting their trust on you. So you need to be able to understand their scope, their level, how they feel when you do not do your job. So what is it as a client? What do you expect? So you know that you have a time limitation. So you're probably expecting somewhere 45 minutes to an hour time limit. During the meeting process, is that often you'll see a planner and my advisor comes with a fancy binder or nice suit or nice car. Just watch out for those indications that what is it, how they're packaging the information to you. Okay, and as a planner, you should be aware of is that am I actually intimidating my client? Often, am I driving a nice car, or am I actually parking my so these are basic idea. Often you will see is that to impress people, you don't overdo it. So an indication would be is that am I impressing my client or my prospects with knowledge, or rather packaging? So, and as a client or prospect, what you really should look out is that am I receiving information or am I receiving a package? So that is something that you need to be aware of. Second thing, let's assume that you met your planner, you met your client or prospects. So what is it happening now? The first few minutes, in a traditional way, your prospects or client will decide whether they want to pursue or not, and that is the most error a client or prospect could ever make, based on a few minutes of discussion. The second thing is that what is it you talk about? What is it? I understand that as a planner, you are going there to assuming that you have a business, but that's actually the most incorrect conception that you could ever assume, or you could ever take on. So the idea should be open. If it happens, the business, it does. If it doesn't, great. You get to meet someone new. And as a client, what you need to have open mind is that you have to be able to understand is that there are a lot of information that requires to form an opinion on your existing financial being or financial life. So if someone gives you an opinion within within 5 minutes of discussion, my advice is seek other help or get someone else. So as a planner, do not form an opinion within 5 minutes and 10 minutes of an hour discussion, unless you have everything that needed ahead of time. So let's assume that you had their family information, you had their personal life information, you had their financial life information, you had everything that is needed was provided to ahead of time. In that case, yes, it is roughly about half an hour. You could form an opinion within the meeting itself. But as a planner, you probably spend at least 24 to 48 hours just preparing yourself on that particular issue, and that is not enough. Trust me. So the second issue we have is that do I have the information that are available to the client? Was it provided to me? Or do I have the information that is needed to execute the plan, or just to build an idea? So what are the process? What are the planning scope? Now, the first meeting is not a planning scope. It is rather an introduction. You get to know the persons or the client or the prospect get to know the person, the financial planner, advisor, investment advisor, whatever it is, or financial consultant, whatever you call yourself. You get to meet someone new in your life. And if the business doesn't happen, don't just get upset, or don't be offended because you did not meet their expectation. Or as a client, if the financial advisor did not take you on, don't be offended. And the reason I mentioned that from my first or second video is that they have to be able to understand they could bring value to your existing portfolio or existing financial being. So if they can, they move on. No. The first question that should be asked is that what whether you need a financial planner based on the basic information you needed as a planner. If so, let's assume that in this case, yes. So continue the meeting. If they do not need a financial planner, let them know. But in many cases, like you mentioned before, I don't mean to contradict myself, but everyone needs advice. So once you are in a meeting, make sure that you do not give too much information, because it could be an information overload. So what is it you ask on the first meeting? Do you ask about their family? Do you ask about their job? Do you ask about what is it you do? Well, in the first meeting, what I used to do is that I used to segregate my time. I used to let them know. I used to give them a binder of myself, my introduction, ahead of time. Either it's a mail or email or fax, send it to them so they have information about you. And then you have a bit of a binder where you actually give them a copy of the binder, and you have a copy. You go through, introduce yourself, okay, and then ask them politely if they are willing to share information about themselves. It is most likely when someone introduces, they are obligated to introduce themselves. So ask them about their current financial situation. What is their goal ultimately? What is it they want to do? Don't push their beliefs on them. Don't push your beliefs on them. So ask them, what is it they want to do? What is their intention? What's their short-term goal? What is it they want to see, where they want to see themselves in next 5 years? Or what even next year? What even next 6 months? What's happening with their personal financial life? Once you get to find out that, then ask them, what's their long-term goal is? Now, you know that you find out their goal, their objective, their view. Obviously, often, their goal is something that they have, they have processed that time and time in their mind. Remember, I told you before, is that a person who doesn't have money, they often plan carefully ahead of time, over and over in their head, whether their first choice of selection is the most beneficial to them. So now in these books, since we're talking about mostly people that are actually between income between second bracket, well, actually first bracket to the 130,000, somewhere between there. So let's get to keep our discussion very precise. So now you have some information about your client, their objectives, their goals. Then find out the risk profiling. Is that whether this person, for the next meeting, is whether this person has risk understanding. What are the risks associated with the planning or investments or anything? So collect some data about scientifically collect some data about their knowledge on risk. Now, I met people during my career where I noticed that they said they have high risk, they can take any risk, no problem. But in fact, it turned out that they can't even take risk at all. Right, so make sure that you do a bit of scientific approach to find out whether they're riskable, or whether they could take risk at all, or whether what's their risk level. So once you find out their risk level, the risk tolerance level, you could certainly build a profile on your client. Now this is something that you share with them, is that what is your understanding about their client, and give them in writing. This is what you perceived from them in the second meeting, that based on the information you collected, this is what you perceived about them. So once you perceive the information, and if they tend to believe that you're wrong, have them correct you that this is what it is, and take something in writing, so that, hey, listen, this is something that we believe based on the risk profiling criteria. This is what you are, and this is what this is how much risk you can take. And this is based on your questions or answers that we asked you before. The same thing, and if they feel differently, have them provide you with some sort of letter, or some sort of authenticated letter, or some sort of email, or some sort of note disclosure that they believe that they are into different risk category, and this is where they belong to. So based on the, remember I said it is about the client, what they want to do. It is not about you, it's about them, it's their interest. So even though as an advisor it is your job to provide recommendations, not to choose for them. You never choose for your client at any cost. So always have them, give them various options, tell them what are the pros and cons associated with that particular choice they're making. Okay, and let them make that right decision, whether it's right for them or not. You do not, as an advisor, you do not make decision for your clients at any time. So now that you have some sort of understanding on your client, their income, their expense, their living status, and their ongoing beliefs, what they believe, and their risk profiling. Now, do not ever judge a prospect or client based on the information they provide. Everyone is unique. Everyone is different. And you have to, as an advisor, you have to keep your mind open that the person, today you meet one person and tomorrow you meet someone else. Everyone will be different. And every plan is different from there is no such thing as one shoes or one shirt fits everybody. And there's no such thing. If that was the case, the industry wouldn't exist today. So everyone is different. Everyone has different opinion. Everyone has different beliefs. And they're entitled to. Everyone is allowed to have their freedom of speech, what they believe. But the question is, can you really work with that freedom of belief they have? And that's the typical decision that you have to make. Can you work with your client or prospects within the belief they have? So, educate them as you go along. Like financial literacy is very important. Often, we will not talk about product by product in this video, but rather talk about what you should expect. And if someone wants to become a financial planner or advisor, an accountant or lawyer, they really should consider going back to school and learning from the institutions. And then again, that won't be enough, because you would still need professional expertise or practical experience. So now, experience from book is different from experience from personal life or practical life. Yes, education provides knowledge to make decision, knowledge to understand scenario, knowledge to understand basic about certain things. But it is it is as a human, we learn. When you make a decision, there's a few things that we use. We use our past data, we use our current information, and we make educated guess about certain things that is going to take place, or that is something that is a prediction model with certain confidence level. Now let's get back to the meeting. So you have some data about your client, you have all the information. that you needed. Do not form any opinion on the first meeting if you do not have financial information, family information, if you do not have information about themselves, their job, their what they want to do, their goals, their objective. Do not make any information, any decision. That decision will be incorrect. So now that you have some idea about what to expect, time yourself. Do not look at the time. Rather, time yourself. Often, what I do is that I would have my cell phone besides me and print a clock, in a clock mode, so I could see how do I present myself and the timing. Because do not go over the time. Now, at the same time, if the client is interested, do not rush them either. So often I hear is that I have an hour time and I'm restricted to an hour. No, unless you have a meeting somewhere else, make sure that your client or prospects understand it. But at the same time, it's good to be time oriented because you're getting paid for your time and your skills. So have the time on your side, and if you're unfinished, let them know that you will continue this in the next meeting or so forth. Allow them to express themselves. Listen more, because when a client tells you a story about themselves, let them paint a picture for you. Okay, ask them to tell them about something in a story form, so that you could remain interested rather than a number basis. Number can be obtained from their accountant. Okay, listen to them, hear them out, what they feel about, what they desire, what their goal, what they're excited about. Cherish their excitement, what they want to do. If it is a business, find out more about that business. If it is something they do, if they're an engineer, find out what they love about that profession, right? Because you'll know more about that particular person just by listening. If they're a doctor or dentist, ask them how what challenges they face, because this is where you get to learn your client. You get to know more about them. So let's assume that you met a surgeon, and he's telling you about his job, and he's facing tremendous problem in his career. Something could happen